What's up everybody, Matt Maran here for another car review. This is of course the 2018 Mazda 3 Grand Touring. Huge thanks to Mazda for providing me with this very nice Mazda 3 to review for you guys today. So about the Mazda 3, well, it's just such a beautiful looking compact car. You know, a lot of the vehicles in this field are kind of funky looking or really trying to be bold, and this is just beautiful with just, I love the lines and the curves that it has. It's not trying to be too in your face, it's just a good design. Starting right up front there, just really beautiful headlights there. They have some little black eyelids on the top of them there, and they have the LED accents on them, and just look really simple but beautiful. That grille too, I love the shape of that grille and the way that it sweeps up towards those headlights, and just a very attractive grille. And I like how it kind of comes out to a little bit of a nose there and kind of sticks out a little bit more, so it's not just flat. And just looks really, really good. And this one also has the appearance package, which gives you these black front lip, side skirts, and rear diffuser. But going to the side of the vehicle here, though, really nice. I love the body lines you have here, where it kind of sweeps up towards the rear there, making the rear windows a little bit shorter there, and just looks really cool. I like, you know, a little more stylistic than some of the more boxy stuff you see out there these days. And going out back, just very simple and attractive. I like those tail lights. Again, really helps with this appearance package to make it look a little more sporty. You have the little rear spoiler there as well, and overall it's just a really good look. Right, for the interior of the 2018 Mazda 3 Grand Touring. Well, being the Grand Touring, it's basically fully loaded, and this one even has the premium package on top of that, which gives you basically every other bell and whistle that is missing from the top-of-the-line Grand Touring trim. But anyway, first things first, sitting down in these seats, man, these seats are so soft and comfortable. They're just so supportive, too. Really nice bolstering for a compact car. Again, it's not a sport model. I mean, this is amazing just how much these seats really hug you in. Even the thigh bolstering, where a lot of cars are really wide, this hugs you in a little bit more. I mean, again, it's not too racy. You're not going to be annoyed by it if you just want a normal feeling seat. They don't feel racy, but they just really hug you well, and I really like them. They're just so soft. I mean, you can squish them down. I mean, it's amazing just how soft these seats are. Some of the most comfortable, I think the most comfortable seats I've ever felt in a vehicle of this class, or anything under $30,000 for that matter. Very soft, comfortable seats. Next, the steering wheel in the Mazda 3, which is a really nice wheel. It's got a little bit of a thinner rim to it here. A really nice 9 3 rib though, just perfect. Very nice high quality leather too that it's wrapped with here. You have a fair assortment of buttons here on it, but nothing too overly complicated, very straightforward. And you also do have plastic paddle shifters behind the wheel that are pretty small, but nicely placed nonetheless, and good to have. That's also something that's optional here with this premium package, and so good to have those as well. Gauges in the Mazda 3 are very simple, but just really, really good. Front and center, you have a large tachometer with a digital speedometer there in the lower right hand corner, and so anyone that's familiar with a Miata or something will feel right at home, I think, with these gauges. Also reminds me a lot of my BRZ gauges back in the day. Had a very similar setup with just that large center tachometer, and it looks great. And then on the left and the right, you just have little monochromatic displays. On the left there, it'll show you your gear position for the automatic or manual. Right hand side will basically, you know, give you your fuel as well as the temperature, and then a couple basic things, you know, your average fuel economy, average speed, just the basics, you know, nothing too elaborate there. And so yeah, just a really clear and concise gauge cluster. One thing that is a little bit strange though is in the Grand Touring model here, Mazda has their own version of a heads-up display, but instead of it actually projecting onto the windshield, it automatically raises this little piece of like plexiglass in front of you, and that is what your speed is displayed on. And it's just a little strange to have that right in your field of vision there. It's a little less obtrusive with an actual heads-up display because you're just looking at the windshield anyway. This, you have like an additional thing. It's like you're wearing glasses or something, where you have an additional little thing to look through as well as your actual windshield. And so it's a little odd, but we'll see how I get used to it over the course of driving the vehicle here. Coming over to the center of the dashboard here, right up top you have the Mazda Connect system that they have. They've had this for several years now, and it's a basic unit, but it does work well for the basics, you know, your radio display. This one has navigation too as part of that premium package, and the maps for the navigation look well. The really nice thing about their setup, and they've done this for several years now, and they've been ahead of the curve with it, is that it's a touchscreen screen head unit, but you also have a controller. So those who really love a little knob to spin around to, go through the menus, you can do that if you would like. And the rest of us that enjoy just, touching the things they actually want to navigate to on the screen, you can do that as well. And so nice to give people the option, because I understand people like two different things. And so it's good to at least give people the choice to have both. And so that's nice. The only thing that I can complain about with this infotainment system, though, is that there is no Apple CarPlay or Android Auto for a 2018 model year car. And Mazda is one of the last car companies to not offer CarPlay or Android Auto. I'm not sure what the holdup is. I think they've promised several times that it's coming, but it's 2018 here and it's still not showing up. So I'm not sure when that's going to arrive. That's the only thing. It's really a sore exclusion because, like I said, basically all the competitors have that these days, and it's a really nice thing to have. So without that, it just feels a little dated, honestly, but otherwise a very good screen. Coming down to the rest of the controls here, first you have your heated seat controls as well as your heated steering wheel, which is again part of this premium package here on the Grand Touring one. And then you have the automatic climate control set up here, which is on the higher trim levels. I think the Touring and Grand Touring both get this. And it's a really nice, simple setup here. You have nice little metal knobs, and feel pretty good. Everything's a tiny bit loose as far as the knobs and stuff go. But I have to say that outside of the tiny bit of looseness you have in those, otherwise this interior is so nice. It honestly feels really similar to something like a Lexus, like some of these luxury vehicles. That's how nice Mazda's interiors have come. And this is again just on the small little Mazda 3. It's even nicer on the higher model offerings from Mazda here. But I mean, just lots of soft touch materials everywhere, just high quality feeling plastics, and everything just really feels well built and expensive feeling as well. And so overall, really well done. But yeah, those climate controls are very easy to use. Coming down, you have a little sport toggle here to go in and out of sport mode, and then you have, like I said, that little rotary controller here that has some nice little shortcuts to it as well, and you also have a nice little volume knob down here out of the way as well. And so overall, I really like the way everything's set up in this interior. It's very logical. It just feels really good to use. As far as storage space here in the Mazda 3, it's actually pretty good. So first off, in the doors here, you have a large map pocket with a bottle holder, which is always great to see. Coming over to the center here, you have a large rubberized cubby here that is large enough to fit all the largest smartphones and things like that in there with ease. You also do have two USB jacks, an auxiliary jack, and an SD card slot in there as well, and so good to have all those right up front. Coming towards the back here, you have this nice little cover that you can remove, and then you have two cup holders, which are a good size, and then you have this center armrest, which is a little bit small and a little bit further back than some of the others out there, but it's just so soft and really great to rest your elbow on. And then you open that up, and then you have this two-tiered little setup. First has this little top part where you can fit your wallet, keys, phone, all that kind of stuff, and you can remove that. And then you also have a deeper portion there where you can fit something like sunglasses, things like that in there, and then you have a power outlet in there as well. That's the only power outlet I've seen so far in this vehicle, by the way, outside of the USB jacks. It's also kind of strange you have these two little covers that cover nothing. I'm not sure what that's about, but if they actually had removed those, you would actually have a little bit more space in there. But overall, still a good amount of space. Like I said, you have plenty up front, so not a big deal there whatsoever. Backseat space in the Mazda 3 is pretty good. Again, we're talking about a compact car, so it's not going to be super luxurious or roomy, but I have to say, again, those seats in the back are so comfortable, just like the front seats here. So soft, especially with this leather, this parchment leather that we have here in this one. Just so soft with these leather seats. But anyway, you have, I'm 5'9", me sitting behind myself, you have about 2 inches or so of legroom to spare, which isn't too bad for a compact car, I mean, I don't think it's the largest out there. I think stuff like the Honda Civic has it beat. But, still very, very good, and should be sufficient for most compact car buyers. You also have a fold-down center armrest there. There's bottle holders in the doors, and that's about it. There aren't any power outlets or anything else back there. But, it has all the basics, and like I said, a very comfortable back seat. Also has plenty of headroom, too, I might add. You might think with this a little bit of a slope to the roofline that it would be kind of cutting off your headroom, but I have easily 2 inches of headroom to spare there, maybe even a little bit more. Trunk space in the Mazda 3 is actually quite good as well. Again, right in line with what you expect from the compact class here. I don't think it's the largest in the segment, but is a very good amount of space there. You can easily fit, a couple suitcases in there with ease. And it's nice to add that if you open up that floor area there, you'll find a traditional spare tire, which is something that's becoming more and more of a rare sight. And so nice to have a spare tire still there, so you're never actually stranded or waiting for roadside assistance. And so good to have that as well. All right, so let's start up and take it for a drive. The Mazda 3 has the typical Mazda key fob, which is this very slender and just a nice small key fob, not too big or bulky, and I really like that. Some metal buttons on it, which are always nice. And of course, here on the Grand Touring model, it's keyless entry and push button start. So you just leave the key in your pocket, hit the engine start button, and it starts right up. All right, so setting off in the 2018 Mazda 3. Well, first thing you notice about it is it's a really nice driving position here. You feel like you're sitting up maybe a little bit higher than some of the other compact cars in this segment, but it's just a really nice driving position. You can see forward very well. The hood drops down completely, so you don't even see it at all. And a very large windshield, it's easy to see out of. View out of the sides is great as well. This one has blind spot monitoring, which is an option on some of the higher trim levels, but the B-pillar isn't too thick anyway, so fairly easy to see around there. And view out of the back is great, you know, with a larger window, just like any other sedan in this segment. And so overall, very easy to see out of, very easy to drive. Other things to note here right off the bat, it's pretty quiet, refined in here, you know. I mean, I'm at very low speeds, but you know, you really don't hear much noise so far. Other things are that, like, the throttle response is very predictable and exactly what you would expect it to be. This car just feels very natural to drive. The first, you know, couple of miles you hop in one of these things, you'll feel right at home. It's very easy to get used to. But we'll put it into sport mode here, and let's turn down onto this back road here and see how it does. And here we go. Wow, quick response. Listen to that engine. Wow. All right, so this thing gets up and goes pretty well. So the Mazda 3 here in the Touring and Grand Touring trims has this 2.5 liter naturally aspirated Sky Active G motor that has 184 horsepower and 185 pound-feet of torque. And that'll actually get this thing up and going 0 to 60 in 6.8 seconds. So, I mean, very respectable performance. Again, for a compact car where a lot of them have way less power than this, this is kind of an interesting middle ground where most have less power, and then there's sportier actual performance models that have more power. And the Mazda 3 is just the one flavor here, and it's plenty of power though. I mean, for again a compact car, it does a really good job. Yeah, and it sounds good too. I was kind of amazed just how much sound you're getting here. It gives it more of a sportier feeling too, which I really like. Another little acceleration. I'm pleasantly surprised at just how much sound you're getting here. It's actually more engine noise than you often get with some sporty models these days. So really impressive. And the throttle response is nice and sharp here in the sport mode. I mean, it's like you just breathe on the gas pedal and you instantly get a nice little surge forward. So really well done job there. I love the throttle response. Brakes also feel really good. Lots of bite right at the top of the pedal there. But yeah, it's like I said, a really nice thing to drive so far. Other things to note here, so it likes to hold on to the higher gears, at least here in sport mode. We'll take it out of sport mode. Okay, now it's going to upshift for us. And now it's nice and mellow. It'll cruise at 1500 RPMs. And it's quiet, sedate. I mean, we're on a pretty smooth road here, but the ride is buttery smooth. It's really just such a supple ride. I think these soft leather seats really help to smooth it out as well. So it just feels like you're just gliding along. We'll do another acceleration. This time we'll try out the manual shifting. Here we go. First gear. Got a little bit of torque steer out of those front wheels. But I mean, this automatic, it's a 6-speed Mazda automatic, and it's responding pretty well to all my commands here. It's fairly quick. Again, I would say it's slightly better than your average normal automatic, but it's certainly not as good as the ZF 8-speed and some of the other similar transmissions that other automakers have come up with for sportier models. But again, for a normal compact car, way quicker than your average automatic. Downshifts are actually pretty quick. Not quite ZF 8-speed, but not far off. But as we're going around some corners here now, so you definitely have a little bit of lean to it. It's a little bit of a softer setup here for the springs and stuff, but it actually still feels really tight and put together. The steering has a really great weight to it, very precise feeling. and it just really feels like it's on rails. I mean, like I said, you do have a little bit of flex there, but it doesn't give you any doubts as to what it can do. You know, it's still very poised and composed. There isn't any, scariness to, tossing it into a corner. It just really does it very well. And this is only running 215 wide tires all around. They're Dunlops. And it feels pretty good. I mean, obviously the 215s are going to be your limiting factor as far as how much grip you have, and after a little while you can feel the front end push a tiny bit. There we go, got a little bit of understeer, but it does rotate a little nicely there, so it doesn't feel like it's just going to just nosedive straight into the abyss. You know, it actually will rotate and work with you and feels sporty. This also has Mazda's version of kind of a torque vectoring thing, where they say it actually, I think, limits how much torque the engine puts out, so that it helps the car steer a little bit better. I'm not sure all the details and how it exactly works, but I gotta say this thing just feels like a really tight handle, and it also helps that they're lightweight. These Mazda 3s weigh around 3,000 pounds, or maybe like I think 3,070 to be exact, but a very lightweight car, and it feels like that when you're going around corners. I mean, you take weight out of a car, you make a car nice and light, and it's just only natural it's going to handle well. I've never encountered a car that's 3,000 pounds or less that handled badly. They just all handle really, really well, and so I think it makes it easy for this thing to feel really good in corners because it's just so light and so tossable, but it makes it fun too. And I really love how, some of the other cars in this segment might get a little thrown out of whack if you tossed them into corners like that, but this thing, no complaints, no issues, it just does it all without breaking a sweat. And another acceleration back in automatic mode. This thing just feels so torquey. It's amazing. 185 pound-feet of torque out of this naturally aspirated four-cylinder. It just goes to show you, with all the competition these days going to turbocharged engines for efficiency and for better power, there's no point in downsizing. We've got a nice, relatively big, for the segment, 2.5-liter engine in this thing, and it just feels amazing. It doesn't feel front-heavy or anything like that. It still, like I said, only a 3,000-pound car, but it gives you such sharp response that you don't even dream of getting with the other vehicles that have the turbo engines on them. And this is just wonderful, and it's still, you're not giving up fuel economy either. These Skyactiv engines get such good fuel economy. They're rated, I think, like 27 in the city and like I think 37 on the highway for a combined average of like 30. I'll be driving it around for an entire week here thanks to Mazda, and I'll come back to give you guys my final fuel economy numbers on this vehicle. But yeah, overall I am so impressed with this thing. This motor is a gem. The thing handles really, really well, again, for the class that it's in, and it not being a sporty vehicle with skinny little tires and everything. It does such a good job. I'm really impressed. But yeah, so I'm going to drive around all week, and I'll come back and give you guys my final thoughts. Alright, so I've been driving the 2018 Mazda 3 Grand Touring for a week now, and I really love this thing. It's just such a good handler. It's just so fun from an enthusiast standpoint. I think it's really the most fun to drive out of the compact segment as far as standard models go. It's just really just so much fun, and I wasn't really expecting it to be so enjoyable, because like I said, a lot of the other stuff in this segment isn't necessarily enjoyable to drive, and this really is. I love, like I said, the handling is great, the steering is nice and heavy, and it's just got a really responsive throttle. The transmission's quick to give you downshift, so you're never waiting around, or it's never bogging down, so it's very intelligent. And so I really love all those things about it, and I think that every enthusiast will love that. I think this is definitely the enthusiast choice in the compact segment. But those same things that are positives to an enthusiast might be downsides if you're not an enthusiast. So, for example, this engine sounds great, but I think that's actually louder than what you get with a lot of the other stuff in the compact segment, and a non-enthusiast might not want an engine that's quite this noisy. Another thing, like I said, the heavy steering is wonderful when you're going around corners, and if you're an enthusiast, you're going to enjoy it. It gives you lots of feel and stuff, but it might be a little too heavy for the average person that doesn't care about performance and just wants light, easy steering. This is not light, easy steering. I mean, it's not, again, awful or hard or or anything, but just takes a little more muscle than your average compact car. The only thing I will say though, speaking about the price, I'll talk about that in the fuel economy here last. The price of the Grand Touring. Now this one is right around $28,000 for, you know, a compact car. It is very nice, and I think the materials are nicer than basically everything else in the segment. Like I said, it feels a little step above, you know, average vehicles, and you know, feels pretty close to luxury car status, almost like a Lexus or something like that. And you pay for that though a little bit, but you know, that's only the Grand Touring trim. If you go to just the normal Touring trim, I think that's the best value, because those are like low 20s, like 22 grand. You still get the more powerful engine. You still get many of the same niceties, just not quite as much. You don't get the heads-up display, you know, and a few of the other, all the safety tech, which I think can be optioned in if you really want it on the lower packages. You know, if you take it easy on the options, this is a fantastic value for sure. The only little complaint that I have is this heads-up display. I'm still not in love with it, even after a week of driving. It's just a little odd to have it in front of you like a pair of glasses instead of actually having it on the windshield. And so, you know, like I said, if you go for a non-Grand Touring model, you wouldn't have that, and so that would make it a non-issue. But on these Grand Touring ones, just not a huge fan of that little heads-up display. The last thing I want to mention though is the fuel economy here in the Mazda 3. So these are rated at 27 in the city, 36 on the highway, for a combined average of 30. Now my driving was primarily city stop and go stuff. I was driving at Spirited League, you know, getting on the gas. But I did actually drive on the highway a good bit as well. But even still, my average was only 24 miles per gallon over 90 miles of driving here. So it might have averaged out a little bit higher if I had driven more or had a more even balance. But even though this, I mean, the city rating is 27, and I didn't get close to 27. I'm 3 mpg short of that. I'm sure if you took it easy though and did hypermile it, I'm sure it will deliver the numbers that they claim. But yeah, overall, this is a fantastic driving little car, and add to the great driving, the great looks that you have here. It just makes for a really winning combination. And on top of that, it's also an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus, so fantastic safety ratings, which is also very nice, you know, for something that you're driving. You want to be safe and protected, and this certainly does that as well. So I mean, really the only thing that could make this car better is a Mazda Speed 3 version. You know, if they took that 2.5 liter turbo motor out of the CX-9 and now in the Mazda 6, put that into this with a manual transmission and a slightly stiffer suspension setup, I think it would be absolutely amazing, and be the only thing that could really make this car better, because it's just a fantastic platform. I love the looks, I love, you know, everything about it really. But so anyway, huge thanks to Mazda for providing me with this very nice Mazda 3 to review for you guys today. Let me know your thoughts on the Mazda 3 in the comments below. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.